Let's picture this. You work hard your whole life, you climb, you grind, and you achieve. And then one day, you take a break, you pause, you get laid off, you probably are retired, and then you look around, ask yourself, who am I when I'm not working? Welcome to Thinking Forward. My name is Huria Hashmi, and today we're talking about a meaningful life beyond career, purpose beyond career. And I'm not doing this alone. I have a guest with me who I've had many conversations with, many interactions with, and I believe that he's he has a lot to say around this topic. He's experienced it, he's lived it, and he has real things to say about it. So thank you for doing this with me. Welcome to the podcast, Francis.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Just tell me who you are when no one's watching, when you have no one to account to, when you have maybe no one to even impress. Who are you and what do you do?
That is a very good question. And I love that as the first question
Okay.
because most often when you ask people to describe themselves, they tie it to what they do and what they have. And it's a good thing to know who you are by looking within. And for me, I am a disciplined man.
Yeah.
I am self sufficient. I love myself. And out of that love, I'm able to love others. And I am one who is adventurous. I love to laugh, smile, give, and I just love love.
For someone who is over identified with career, maybe grades, what do you have to tell that person? For someone who, as you said, love yourself, right? For someone who doesn't know how to love him or herself, what do you have to say? Because I come around people having this misconception around self love, and media has printed it in a way that it looks lavish. So, a lavish lifestyle with a lot of money, uh, in a five-star hotel trying to enjoy all the expensive things. That's the idea that's been sold to us. So for someone who knows how to, love yourself, what do you have to tell people who don't know how to love themselves?
Loving yourself, or as they'll put it, self care or self love, in the popular sense, like you said, is people going on trips, people doing the taking themselves to dinner and all
Okay.
those things that we see on TikTok, social media. But in the real sense, self love is emotionally, physically, spiritually making sure you're well.
Okay.
It is telling yourself that I need me and I need me to be okay. Because when you're working, you're serving others, you're trying to satisfy their needs. But self love is saying, I also want to satisfy my own needs. So, in the real sense, it is protecting your peace, it is relaxing, it is having meaningful relationships, it is choosing things that will benefit you and things that will only make you alive as human. And that is also part, taking yourself out. It's also part of, loving yourself. Because, for example, as a man, when you meet a lady and most men would not be in some restaurants if they didn't take the lady out.
Okay.
It's like they wouldn't go to some places alone.
Yeah.
And they find themselves enjoying it. Like you take the lady out and you go there and you really enjoy it. But you should ask yourself, why can't I go alone? Why can't I go to the movies alone, the cinema? Why can't I just go alone, watch a movie, chew my popcorn, this kind of thing? So in the real sense, it's not even about the places. It's not about the things you do. Because whether it's little or big, it's more about your emotional, physical, mental, spiritual well-being.
Yeah.
You should not feel guilty choosing yourself, placing yourself first. And even the Bible lets us know that love your neighbors just as you love yourself. You cannot love others until you are fully and truly loved
Love
yourself.
yourself. I I like that you emphasize on the fact that it's not the places, it's the experiences, the moments that creates the
Yes.
value for the person. So yeah, it's not easy to, jump right out of state of self-hate to self-love. I think it's a journey, if you
Yes.
agree with me.
Yes.
And yeah. You know, the next thing I want to talk about is children and society. We raise children asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think we've all heard that question before.
We're all asked that question as well, right?
Yeah, we've also been asked that question. But then we don't ask them what kind of person you want to be when you grow up.
Mm.
I think, so what do you have to say about that? Because I think society has a say or shapes our identity or focuses our identity on output and achievement, and there's less focus on who you are as a human being and what value you bring to the next human being. So, do you agree with me that society has, in a way, shaped how children even think around self identity?
Yes, we in this society we are often training children for a career or to be in certain positions that we desire for them or
Yeah,
we want them to be, but we do not focus also on character. Society praise people who are in high positions. We
yeah,
respect them, we bow to them, we laugh to their jokes, we embrace them all because of what they've achieved and who they are. And you will hear people say, if a poor man with a good character is still a nobody.
yeah,
And it's all because we have come to a place where we believe that money is everything.
yeah,
Money can buy you everything, but it still cannot give you a meaningful life outside your purpose. And oftentimes you hear about how people who have money are still not content because and they want more, they want more because it doesn't fill a void in your life or in your heart that true experiences or true relationships can give you.
yeah. I agree with
It
you.
money cannot buy true love, it cannot buy loyalty, it cannot buy true friendship. People can do certain things for you because of what they can gain from you, but can they do it selflessly without thinking about what they will gain from you, but just for who you are? And the only reason why you get people to do things for who you are is when you are somebody who is not all about what you do. So this topic is about purpose beyond career,
Yes.
right? So if you are the person whose life is tied to all you do, what you're achieving in life and what you've achieved and all that, the people you're going to be getting, the experiences you're going to be having, it's just going to be based on, given to you because of what you are doing. But
Yes.
when you begin to see life beyond what you do and what you've achieved and what you even want to achieve, and think about the experiences that life can offer you for just you, your value, you are worth more than that job position. You are worth more than the money in your account. You are human, you are beautifully made, wonderfully made by God. You existing in this world makes it a better place. And it shouldn't, so when you just live, out of that mind or out of that, life of just work, 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 you begin to attract people. So, for example, let's say you are, um, let's say you love yourself,
Yeah.
and you just want to, go for an adventure, take yourself out, and all these things. You meet people outside work, and therefore the conversation will not just be around what you do, and that connection will not just be about your job or purpose like that. It's going to be based on something meaningful.
Yeah. I think sometimes the stress even comes from my environment. You saying that made me realize that even the stress can come from the environment, and that once you take yourself out of the equation or you take yourself out of the picture into a different place, you tend to have a different experience. I
That is true.
That's helping me see things differently.
Yes.
You know, when you were talking about society praising wealth, the riches, and all that, I also this thought came to my mind around to be successful in life, you must suffer. And I've come across many reels on Instagram that talks about, there's meaning in suffering. And to be honest, I've not 100% agreed with it. But then people say that there's clarity that comes from suffering or that comes from going through a painful experience. I I just want you to tell me more about that. Do you think that we find true meaning or a deeper source of meaning is through suffering? Or can we have a life that we didn't have to suffer? Because growing up, some of us are told that if you don't suffer for what you want, then you're not getting it. So sometimes, even when we want to tend agreed with it, but then people say that there's clarity that comes from suffering or that comes from going through a painful experience. I I just want you to tell me more about that. Do you think that we find true meaning or a deeper source of meaning is through suffering? Or can we have a life that we didn't have to suffer? Because growing up, some of us are told that if you don't suffer for what you want, then you're not getting it. So sometimes, even when we want to the pain, so therefore I'm not moving forward. And then we tend to evaluate everything we've achieved by some metrics like, okay, I got 9 1s. Okay, I secured an internship. Okay, I secured a pastorship. And so that means that I'm moving forward. And that means I'm suffering enough. But then that's why sometimes we say the opposite of productivity is rest. So it means that if you are not productive, then you are resting, and if you're resting, you're being lazy. So that has been the whole mindset, and that's basically how it's been put into our mind. Can you have a successful life and you don't necessarily have to suffer together? I don't know if I was able to give you enough, but I was just trying to pour my thoughts out.
Yes. I believe that suffering is part of the journey.
Okay.
But with all you said, I came across, what you said reminds me of a video that I came across on Instagram where someone was asked that choose between $1 million
Oh,
or,
I see that a lot.
not waking up tomorrow. And you choose life
Yeah, definitely.
because you're beginning to see beyond $1 million. You're seeing that no, life is more meaningful than
Yeah.
$1 million. And but back to what you're saying, I believe that suffering is part of the journey, but the way we describe suffering is what makes us lose ourselves in our pursuit to become who we want to be
Yeah.
career wise. Because when for me, I see suffering as you going after what you want even when it's hard, even when the door is shut, even when you don't have so many opportunities. I don't even call it suffering.
Mm.
I just I just call it perseverance. Just because I don't want to call it suffering, so you don't think that you have to sweat blood or have to give up so many things just to. I know it is hard for people out there. I know I didn't come from a home where I had everything so easy. I saw my father struggle. I saw him build our home. I saw him provide for the family. And it's not easy to, ever
Yeah.
be in his shoes. But he didn't lose himself. It may have been tough. The journey wasn't easy, but you must also understand that, if you die, all that is gone. So, what cost is it for you to, you know, tell yourself that if I don't rest, then I'm not being productive? Productivity can also be outside of your work. Productivity can also come as you investing in yourself. Productivity can come even in resting. Resting gives you energy to keep going on.
I
Resting
agree with you.
also even give you new ideas. People go on a sabbatical and they get new ideas. They get new visions for their work, new, things like that. So let's not be in a let's not go into a system, or just live a life that we praise this suffering just to get what you want. That's where envy also come from, because people can look at others and say, he didn't work as hard as I did,
Yeah.
and he got this. He probably did. He just didn't like make it seem like it is. Oh, it's such a big deal, and he climbed Mount Everest and did all these things. So he also had his own. He also had things that he endured. He also had things that he had to push himself to do, and all these things. At the end, for you to be successful, you have to do the hard work. You have to persevere. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep moving forward. That is it for everybody, even the rich. So we shouldn't praise suffering to and lose ourselves. That is not right. Because just like I said from the start, if you had to choose between waking up tomorrow and $1 million, you're still going to choose life.
You don't necessarily have to suffer, and by that he means, sweat blood and cry and be depressed. And if you're not feeling all of that, then it means you're not succeeding at what you want to do. Later on in the conversation, we'll talk about the Ikigai framework. I think you probably have
Yes.
heard of it, the Japanese,
Yes.
right? And people succeed even when they're relaxing. Uh, you can be ambitious and still take a break. You
Yes.
can be ambitious and still go on a long vacation, as he has clearly said. So, yes, let's not base the value of success, because in the end, it comes down to envy. Because, yeah, as you're saying, some of us can relate to it because we are like, nah, you didn't like cry, you are not suffering, you didn't attend all the classes, or maybe, something around you doing exactly what the other person did to justify that you ought to be successful, if I'm getting.
Yes. And a beautiful way to view life is to always look at the good things happening around you and for you first.
I think psychology wise, it doesn't always happen like that, because we are rooted to look for safety, security. So, and trying to look for survival. Like back then, that was the whole purpose. Just trying to be safe, have a family, have security. So now maybe the narrative is changing a bit to look at a meaning to life,
Yes.
but instinctively we want to be safe, and then we tend to think about all the bad things that could happen to us. So, like, how do people move from the default negative, to actually adapting a positive mindset?
This may sound like some motivational speech, but
I'm
honestly,
open.
I I'll put it this way. So there's this game I play with my friend, the snooker, and the pool,
Oh
eight
yeah, I
ball,
know it. I know it
yes.
by snooker.
And so when we're playing and he's winning, I'll tell him the game is not over yet. The game is not over until it ends and he's won, and I'll say you've won. But as long as the game is not over, I believe there is hope.
Yeah.
I believe he can foul and fail, and I will maybe play all the balls and win. I believe that. So I bring that to real life and to say that as long as you're alive, there is still hope. And so always look at the good things first, the good things happening around you and for you. I know there's a lot that we want to achieve. I know that there's a place we want to get to, and being ambitious doesn't make you a bad person. I believe that it's only ambitious people that achieve or attain that greatness. But losing yourself in that process is not worth it. You must, I think the reason why people often go into depression or start envying others who achieve what they are
Yeah,
seeking to
more
achieve
than.
is because we we should understand that this life or the way to live life is not a one size fits all. Somebody can take a vacation and that's rest for the person. For you, it could just be the weekend. Sat- let's take Friday out, just Saturday, Sunday, telling yourself, I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to rest. I'm going to smile. I'm going to cook at home. I'm going to meet a friend. I'm going to call that person. I'm going to just be in bed and scroll through TikTok and laugh. Or you can actually rest. You can actually take that break. You can actually love yourself in your own way and still be ambitious. You can get that security you want, that safety you want, and still love yourself, still make sure that you are
watch a funny
mentally,
video. I'm going to
physically,
go to the movies, all
spiritually,
those kind of things.
emotionally well.
Yes,
So
you can take
so
all
you
the
can things that you
Yeah.
want and still make sure that you are well in other areas, not just financially or career wise.
Yeah, to give more perspective to this, I like to talk about the resume virtues and then the eulogy virtues. The resume virtues basically, from my research, talks about emphasizing on your skills, your titles, your achievement, everything career focused. And then the eulogy virtues focus on who you are as a human being or how human you are. That's also another thing I would like you to talk about how human a human being can be, because the word human even makes you feel some kind of empathy, right?
Yes.
And how you make others feel and how many lives you have impacted so far, maybe just by being in their lives. So these are like, I would say, two very conflicted, maybe not conflicting, but they actually like on the opposite ends. People emphasize one over the other and then expect that the other one just, falls into place. And, sometimes we even put it into our work. We say, my work is impact focused. So then I'm supposed to be working 247 because I change people's lives because I'm working. Let's take I just want to use an example.
Yes.
Someone who runs an NGO would probably say, you know, I'm changing people's lives. I'm not making money. I'm not making profit. So why am I not allowed to separate, you know, impact from like impact being the human focused nature, and then your career being at the other end of it. So if you were to talk about it, or if someone came to you with that, question, how would you answer it? Because some people have very impact focused careers. Not everyone is looking for money. Even if they're looking for money, eventually it's more of impact. It's how many people, how many lives they have changed. And the youth these days focus on that a lot. I mean, if you go through LinkedIn and all that and you see a youth led initiative, you see impact focused initiative, you see like things related to impact. So that's basically how now we are justifying focusing on our career and saying that we find purpose in that career because of that.
Yes. I think that it's if you're doing a job or whatever it is, whatever field you find yourself, and what you're doing is impacting people's life,
Yeah.
then it's a good thing, and we appreciate you, and we say thank you for what you do for us. But if you're not enjoying it, then is it really purpose?
What if
Because
I'm enjoying it?
if you're enjoying it, it's a good thing.
Okay.
But you must still identify it as work.
Oh, still work.
It's still work. It's still work. I view work as service to others. It's still work. And you should be able to separate your personal life from work life.
Yeah.
And it's so you are impacting people's life. Good. Good for you, good for us. But are you still taking care of yourself? Are
Yeah.
you impacting your own life? Are you still growing as a person? Not in your position, growing as a person, character, love, and doing other things that you enjoy, building meaningful connections, and living your life to the fullest. Are you doing all of that, or are you tying your life just to the impact that you are making?
Yeah.
Because you find many people telling you that they have a meaningful life because they are impacting others,
Having a
but
meaningful life
because they're
because you're
impacting
impacting others.
others.
That had to sit in. Okay.
But that is not all. That's not all to a meaningful life. A meaningful life is also your life. When we say, do you have a meaningful life, or how would you describe a meaningful life? It's not just about the impacts you have on others. It's also about how well you're taking care of yourself. And when we say living your life to the fullest, it means exploring all potential and as well doing everything that makes you human. Is it being in a relationship? Is it um, just cooking, learning, resting, visiting the therapist, going to get a massage? Is it exploring everything that it is to life, or that you can still do outside of that particular purpose?
Yeah.
Yes, a meaningful life is not just about impacting others, it's also about yourself. It is you plus your service,
You
your
plus your service.
your character, your love life, your mental health, all these things, and then also what you're doing in the society. That is all that makes a meaningful life, not just others, you plus your service.
Oh, by now you can attest to the fact that this conversation is truly what I promise it will be. So stay tuned for the second part. I want the second part to be more on the, you know, and personally, I feel like relationships are the most underrated pillars of a meaningful life. Since today the topic is purpose beyond career and basically how to live a meaningful life that's outside, or maybe sometimes inside your career, but mostly outside your career, guys. Okay. So from the many podcasts I've been listening to, because I love podcasts, I listen to Jay Shetty a lot, and
Oh
then he
yeah.
talks about relationships a lot. He says that most people, in quotes, manage relationships instead of nurturing them. So they reply to messages when it's convenient for them. That's not to say that, I mean, you must instantly reply a message when you say it, but then the other person can feel that, you're not being available, or maybe you spending time with the person, you seeing it as an obligation, like it's a duty for me to be with you, so I am with you. All these things create the sense of managing that I'm talking about. You're not basically nurturing it, because even friendships, when you leave it at a surface level and you don't really ask the real questions to get to know the people, you realize you can be in a friendship with someone for so many years. But then if something is to happen to that, you might not even know the mother's name. You might not even know the father's name. But then you will justify it by saying, oh, we sat in the same class for, say, 4 years. Let's take the university, for example. You don't even know where the person is staying, or even if you don't know if they've relocated to a new place. So you might even take them to their old place. And that's basically what I'm trying to say is we focus so much on career, and especially in like marital relationships, we say, I'm trying to do the best for you. Why don't you get it? Why are you nagging? Why aren't you what's the word? Why aren't you understanding me?
Yes.
Sometimes, I mean, I have listened to a lot of divorce lawyers talk about this. They say men nag a lot, and women talk about this, women talk about that. And sometimes it could even be the other way around. But then the whole point is you prioritizing your relationship, or nurturing it to a point where even if you lose your career, you could still have something to hold on to. My mom describes it as a support system. She talks about family being a support system. And she says, until you don't get to a point with your family where you can say, they are my support system, and all you prioritize is your career, sometimes you look back and you realize you've lost a loved one. And then it fills you up with regret. And then over time is resentment. And then you tend to hate the work that you're even doing. So for the longest time, you tend to hate yourself. And there's that replica effect. I don't know. I am just trying to create a very real scenario here, something that maybe I've seen people talk about, something that maybe I've experienced myself. And since you have a very open mind and you look at things from a very nice perspective, I'd like you to talk about it, especially relationships and how prioritizing career affects relationships.
I don't know who's watching this show. I just started. It's called Nemesis. It's a great
Nemesis.
show. Great show.
Okay.
If you love criminal thriller drama, it's beautiful. And in that show, you'll find a man who is so dedicated to finding this criminal. He
Mm,
ties that to his purpose. Like, I'm finding the criminal that killed my partner.
okay.
So, and he's losing his wife, he's losing his family, and each time he looks like he's now trying to balance both, he goes back to prioritizing his career first. And even his boss lets him understand that, you can do both. You can still be ambitious in your career. You can still, you know, do all that it is to level up in your career and still be impactful in the society and all those kind of things, and still be there for others and yourself. You can balance both, because most often the first thing that you lose when you start over prioritizing your career is people.
Yeah.
You start losing people, even the people that you are working with. So we can be in the same workplace, we can be colleagues, and if I start like becoming so ambitious in a way that I'm only focused on that, I no longer have any meaningful conversation with you. I no longer talk to you about other things. I don't, hang out with you to just relax, to rest, to take a break. If I'm all about my career, I will begin to.
Okay, chill.
That's a good question because I don't know if anyone is watching this show that I am watching currently. It's called Nemesis. And in this show, you'll find a man who is over prioritizing his job. I think he works in FBI or something. And
Oh,
he is trying to like catch a criminal who killed his partner, and he's losing his family and all that, which is sad in the movie to see. And on the other hand, the criminal is keeping his family. He's being there, he's showing up for his wife and all that. And so
oh, and he's still being a criminal.
yes. And I think about that, and it saddens me because I think people often focus so much on
Yeah.
how much they can make, how much money they can make, um, how they can level up to the highest of the highest and all that, and they forget that they have other people around them who love them, who need them. These people do not need you to show up as an FBI detective. They do not need to show up as a doctor or a nurse or a teacher. Your son needs you to show up as a father. Your wife needs you to show up as a husband. Your friend needs you to show up as a friend, and all these things. So that goes back to us, knowing, telling ourselves that a meaningful life is not all about career. It is you showing up as a person, not as what you do, as a person, because there are people out there who love you for who you are. You existing in their life is fulfilling to them. But when you over prioritize your job, you begin to lose yourself, and then you lose them. My counselor once told me that, Francis, if you want to know when God is blessing you, He brings good people into your life.
Mm.
And if you want to know when something is wrong, you don't see many people around you.
Mm.
You lose people.
Yes.
So when you're doing something wrong and the people, it's not always the case though, but when you begin to over prioritize your ambition and all that, you lose people around you because you're not showing up as the friend, you're not showing up
Mm.
as that person anymore. You're so focused on money, making the money and all that, and life is not all about that. Eventually when you find out, you realize that it's too late, and what good is it to gain all this and lose yourself?
Yeah. You said the person who was catching the criminal was making his family suffer, but the criminal was keeping his
His
family
family.
well and good. I just had to sit with that for a minute. So you could even be losing everything. You could even be at a point where you're the center of attention, and still the people in your life that you value could still have all of you. And you said for people that love you for who you are, is just you being around them is fulfilling because
Yes.
love for them isn't transactional,
Yes.
it's unconditional. Nowadays, we come across a lot of people who love us for something that we have, and we put it in. I'm trying, no, I'm just trying to find a word. We say we say that there should be good in you. By good, I mean something material or something of good value that you bring to them for them to love you. And although that's fine, but then it doesn't really look like natural to me. For someone to say that, okay, it's because I networked with you and you helped me find a client and now my business is running. So I'm still going to keep you in my life and I'm still going to love you. You know, like not that type of love, but I'm still going to love you. Doesn't that look transactional to you? Or don't you think we've prioritized benefits over love? Like, we don't really understand what love means, right? Because all we think about is our career. All we think about is to be at the top of,
To
you
be
know,
recognized
Mount
by
Everest.
people.
That's what it basically looks like. You have to be at the top. And even from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he talks about self-actualization, actually being the point where now you are satisfied with everything you have and there isn't much you're seeking. And even in that moment, he encourages people in that state to look down and say, I'm going to give all some of my resources to people that need it. But then it looks like people, when they are self-actualized, they don't look down and they say, you are not my level anymore. You are not this. You don't make these figures of money. You don't do this. You don't do that. So for me to love you means you must bring something to the table. And we see that in relationships. We see that in, employee worker, like employee employer relationship. We see that in teacher student relationship. We see that sometimes even in husband wife relationships. We sometimes see that between siblings. Like, I would choose my friend because my friend gives me this number of chocolates and you don't. I'm just trying to paint a picture here. So don't you agree that love is transactional? Like, it's not unconditional anymore. Or maybe we've lost touch with what unconditional means because the focus is also maybe drifting away.
I think you cannot take kindness out of love. People who are kind are showing love to you. So, someone finding you a job is also a form of love. But kindness is not all that it is to love, or love is not all that it is. You cannot describe love and just say love is kindness. Love is filled with joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self control. Love is not just sweet, it can also be bitter, it can also be hard. And love is beautiful in its own way.
Continue,
Because,
continue.
yeah, I think I
Yeah, you're
look
looking here.
sideways, so how
Don't
would
worry,
I?
just continue.
Okay. Love. So when we focus so much on just the kindness, then it feels transactional. But we must understand that we cannot take kindness you can out of love. Love is filled with kindness as well, and it's also filled with other things as well. Like I said, joy, peace,
Joy.
patience, faithfulness, humility, goodness, and self-control. And so when people focus so much on kindness, on
Yeah.
what you can do for them, it's no longer love. Now it becomes a transactional relationship. It's no longer you love me, so you must give me this. I love
Yeah.
you, so I must receive this from you. Because when I don't have it, then what else? And it's also transactional when all you require or your own definition of kindness comes in material form, because I can be kind to you by, you know, even giving you a lift.
Yeah.
I can be kind to you by just showing up or giving a compliment, or just, I can be kind in many ways. Kindness is not just described as giving somebody a material thing. You get it? And so, yes, I think we should view love in its fullness and not just describe it as kindness. Because if we do that, then it's transactional.
If we do that, then it's transactional. We've spoken a lot about relationship. Let's move it to something personal. Let's talk about service as a human being. From even when you read the books of different religions, you come to understand that there's something called stewardship, like
Yes.
worship and all that comes down to service. So even from creation, and the whole purpose of creation was to serve,
Yes.
right? There's this theory, or there's a research that's even being done, or basically there's a theory that talks about we find our deepest like source or calling or meaning in our deepest frustration. When you are in a state where you're not comfortable with how certain things are around you. It could even be something small, it could be something big you want to solve, it could be like a continent problem you want to solve, it could even be, something small. So what's that thing for you that in a form of a service you would want to do that you feel the world in general gets wrong, and that if you step in as a person and you decide to serve, you will get that thing right, or you will solve that problem. It could be a small thing, it could be, as I said, continent based, it could be a big problem, it could even be a global problem. Because you see, people are trying to do this, we're trying to solve things globally, and I want to be there at the global level and all that. You know, in all that, what I hear is service. Even in leadership, I hear service. Yesterday I met someone and I like how their system works, okay? They call their executive director chief servant. And so the person walks in. I went for like an interview. The person walks in and sits down with us, chats. And I feel like, come on, this guy, he's so free with me. Like, is he my friend? That's the level of freedom I felt around him. And later on, when he's leaving, then the HR says, oh, so that's our chief servant. And I'm like, okay, chief servant. Oh, he says, and then he tries to explain to me that, oh, I just work around here. And then someone else coincidentally comes in and it's like, oh, so that's our executive director. So someone who owns a share in that company comes to sit down. And so since yesterday, or since the time I had the interview with the person, I've just been thinking, like service, leadership. And I'm like, okay, in this podcast, I must ask you, because I know he's trying to solve a problem. It could not be, maybe it's not on a global level, but then he's trying to solve a problem. He's found something that he's uncomfortable with. From my interaction with him, I feel like he's trying to solve, like, youth and how the problem of us nowadays, something on financial literacy, entrepreneurship, that was basically his focus. But then his approach looked like a problem that he solved. Do you see it? Like his form of communicating with me made me feel so close to him, or like relate to him on a level. And I feel like if that question was asked to me, I would say that because I want to get to a point in my life where I'm like very impact driven. Although I care about money, I care more about the kind of lives I'm able to impact. And if the question was thrown to me, just to give you more light, so that you be in a good position to understand me. If that question was given to me, something I want to change about like what I can do is my approach to certain things, especially I'm naturally a leader. Like I like to lead wherever I am, not in a controlling manner, but I feel like I'm trying to take an approach where I have two sides. Okay, I have the very business minded side where people respect the work I do, and then on the other side, you can come to me freely and say, Hashmi, I'm having this problem, that problem, and I should be able to serve. So, service to me is that. And that is the problem I'm trying to solve. Because I've realized a lot of people, when they climb the ladder, the career ladder, all they think about is, now I'm on top of the world. I don't talk to you, you're not on my level. I think I've already said this,
Yes.
people like to say that. So that is what I want to do, something that makes me uncomfortable. So you, what do you think it is about you that you'd want to solve? Any problem in the world, it just has to be you.
For me, I want to solve the ability to respect
Oh,
while still being humble, or just basically, if I'm to rephrase it, is respecting someone while still embracing the closeness. For example, what you shared, the experience you had with him, and you know how he spoke to you, how he welcomed you. If you become so familiarized with it, disrespect could come in, penetrate in.
yeah.
So I am trying to solve the ability, because when we speak about love, love to me is my greatest purpose. I love love. I believe that there are so many things that, and when I say love, I'm not just talking
No, I
about
get it totally.
relationship, loving everybody.
We
And
need to understand it.
so, but part of it, what I'm focusing on right now is how can we, especially the youths, still respect people that draw us in? That someone older than you, I've had this experience, they can still say, hey bro, come. And he's older than you, he should be calling you son. But he'll be like, hey bro, come. And
Calling you.
stuff like that.
Oh my
How
god.
can we be confident? How can we um, enjoy that closeness that we are receiving and experience the fullness of it while still maintaining the
Yeah.
respect? And so I'm practicing that, and people around me are also learning that, you can enjoy the closeness you receive from people and still have respect for them and still make them know that they have your respect,
Yeah.
because that keeps the relationship growing.
Going.
Respect is very vital. Another thing that I would like to solve is policy. I believe that
Oh,
in the best way to solve a problem is to create a system. For every problem, a system can solve it. It can start in your home. It can start with children upbringing. It can start in your education, your work, your finance. And if we're going to take it to the biggest stage, it can start with the nation, a community, globally, whatever problem it is. I believe a system, a policy can achieve or bring us to that solution.
optimum, yeah.
Yes, so my biggest dream is to be part of the policymakers or policy advisors in the government sector to also guide how the systems that we create. You know, it's it doesn't also have to be on paper. There are many things that the president can say today and we can take it on.
Yeah.
You know, I watched I think it was the State of the Nation address of Ghana, and he said something. I don't know if that is it or it was just talking. I think this was a different one, but he spoke about how, sorry, he spoke about Ghanaians eating very late and eating fufu very late, and that was trending. I actually watched the full thing, but I've
Came
forgotten where
across.
he's mentioned that. And now, during that time, you hear people say they don't want to eat late. You hear people speak about eating healthy and having a time and that they eat, a time that they have dinner, and all those kind of things. That is also a system. That's you creating some kind of system or a guide to healthy living. And if the citizens are healthy, the death numbers will reduce. People who get diabetes, people who get this kidney disease and all these things,
Yeah.
those numbers reduce. So it's at the end, I believe that every problem can be, solved by a system, policy, whatever we call it, and also by love.
Yeah. Three principles I also apply in my leadership is structure,
Yes, structure.
consistency, and commitment. So basically, just to add to what you're saying, that, and for me, I see these as systems, right? Maybe not well explained, but these things put people like on the right track, or
Yes.
even if they go off track, which eventually they will,
Yes.
it brings them down or back to business. And I think that's why we see a lot of companies say our core values are.
Yes.
And so sometimes, even before, let's talk a little bit about career, right? Even before you apply for a job somewhere or you rush in for internships, because it feels like internships are rushed.
Yeah.
We don't really take our time to research our core pillars. They're like, please give me a 2-month internship. I just want to get out of here. So basically, what I'm trying to say is we should research more into what we are going into, especially the core pillars of an organization. Because no organization is going to get up and GPT those pillars. I don't think a serious organization that has been built for years has done that, right? So once you understand how systems work or how the culture is at where you are, then you see if it's a right fit for you. It's like we give all the power to the HR. We give all that power to the boss, the CEO of the company. We don't give ourselves power to say, I can choose if I want to work in your company or not, respectfully, because your core values or your core pillars do not align with me. Or maybe I have a friend who's worked there, whose work ethic or maybe culture doesn't align with me. Maybe I want to act in this way and you don't. We should respectfully be able to communicate that. So let's to throw more light on like policymakers and leaders. Sometimes we forget that we give them that power to be leaders. So we have
Yes.
the power to choose someone to come into a leadership position.
Yes.
So to come to draw this section to an end, I understand that you have like more understanding on what purpose is beyond career, on what meaning is to life beyond career, a 24 or a 9 to 5. That's what they say, right? A 9 to 5 work. But is there something that you're still trying to figure out in your life that maybe if you are able to figure out, because I know you still like at some point struggle to keep everything you're saying intact. Sometimes we don't really, our first option is to relax, forget about everything. But is there still something that you're trying to build, trying to build a purpose in your life?
Currently, I am trying to manage my time because it's part of the balance that we create from personal life and work life. So, if you're unable to truly manage your time, that balance will not be
Yeah.
sustained, or it, there are going to be days where it feels balanced, it feels off balance. And so I am trying to know how I can still, take care of myself when work related issues penetrate into my personal time.
Yeah.
So, and that's not easy. Someone can give you the best advice, but imagine you have a project and now it's penetrating into
Yeah.
your personal time. And maybe that personal time could be you spending time with a close friend that just came to town to see you.
Yeah.
How do you now, because of that, you can meet the person and then you go home instead of sleeping and resting, you're on the laptop trying to. So it's how do you manage time even when there's an area of your life that is very demanding of more time.
Okay.
And that's what I'm discovering, I'm learning, I'm still trying to make sure that. So I cannot speak on it yet because I'm still
Yeah.
learning how to do that, and I'm also learning how to walk away, walk away from relationship, friendships, things that's not just even work, or things that do not are not aligned
Align
with
with
who
you.
I am and who I want to be,
Yeah.
and are not aligned on my values. And it's not easy sometimes, especially when people change. So you could be friends with someone for 15 years, and now over the past 1 or 2 years, you realize this person is acting different.
You just outgrow the relationship at some
Yes.
point.
And you could carry this guilt of he's been there, she's been there all this while. She was there when she helped me, he helped me, all those things. And I feel like I'm betraying him. I feel like I'm betraying her.
I get
But
it.
you must learn to know that everything in this life has expiring date. Every single thing, even life itself. And so I'm understanding that, and I'm appreciating the time spent, whether it's at a work. You must
Mm.
also learn. I'm learning, walking away from a
Yeah.
job. That job fed your family. It's we understand that the job schooled you. The job did all those things, but now you do not find any desire there. You do not find any fulfillment there. Instead of causing more harm to yourself, can we just take that leap, walk,
I just move away.
just move on? So these are the two things that I'm learning currently in life, where I am right now, and yeah.
Some tips I would like to share is on building a purposeful life or a meaningful life. Something I have taken from this conversation is one, protect time for what you value, and two, invest intentionally in relationships. So you could pick a friend, be intentional about that friend, and say, hey, I'm going to learn more about you. So that God forbid something is to happen, I know exactly where to find
Keep
you.
living, keep loving, and keep choosing you first.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you found value in this, please share it with someone you love. And yes, let's keep doing this. Bye. See you next time.
Bye.